Hey, Hosanna Kids Church and everyone else joining us today. I'm Trent.
And I'm Tyler.
Why on earth are you dressed like a mountain man?
Well, just got back from climbing Everest, man.
Did you really?
Yes, and you left us on quite the cliffhanger last week with the story of Joseph.
Well, maybe I did do that a little bit, but it's kind of weird that you have that crazy outfit on right now. So how about you go change back into your fancy Joseph jacket, and then we'll continue the story from last week.
How about no? Because I might need this for climbing Mount Everest again, or, fending off a T-Rex attack, or...
Is that something you commonly do? Battle T-Rexes?
Yeah, in my dreams.
Ooh, those are an adventure. Well, fine. You can keep that outfit on. Just please keep that pickaxe down and away from my face.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Let's continue with our story, because it might be helpful for you and for everybody else if we go back a little bit and find out what's going on with Joseph. So we're going to open up today's story to Genesis chapter 39.
Good call, Trent, but before we dive into that, let me see if I can remember.
Oh, it sounds like it's time for a trivia game!
Yeah!
Let's go! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bible Trivia Game. We're going to find out what this guy can remember from last week. Are you ready?
I'm born ready for this, Trent.
All right, tell us what you can remember.
The main character of our story is Joseph.
Oh, that is correct. Nice job.
Okay.
1 for 1. Can you keep it going?
He had 11 brothers, and his father's name was Jacob.
That's a jackpot. He's batting 1,000 right now. 2 for 2.
Okay, Jacob is a part of the big three of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Oh, he just hit the hat trick.
Okay.
Nice job. Can
Okay.
you keep it going?
Jacob loved Joseph and gave him a fancy coat.
He sure did, pretty boy. Nice job.
Okay. His brothers were super jealous of his coat.
They were very jealous. You got another
Yes!
one correct.
Okay, Joseph would tell on his brothers to their father that they were doing a really bad job.
Unfortunately, that is correct.
Oh,
that
yes,
didn't go
okay.
well for Joe.
Okay, Joseph dreamed, what did he dream about? Oh yeah, he dreamed about being made out of Play-Doh, riding a T-Rex through the underwater city of Atlantis.
No, that was your dream from last week. Let's see if you can get back on track.
I don't know if I can, man.
It's okay, I believe in you. Let me help you out here.
Okay.
He had 2 dreams. One was about a bundle of grain, and one was about stars that were bowing down, which meant...
The Joseph brothers were bowing to him.
yes, that they were gonna bow down to him. Nice jump. This guy's back on track, and he is on fire.
All right. How is that gonna work? Because he's a slave in Egypt now, right?
Ooh, that is a good question. I think it's time to pick up our story right here. Let's head back over.
Let's do it. Oh, man. Woo. Man, I don't know about you, but I had a great time playing that game.
Oh, yeah. Well done. Very
Thank
well
you.
done. All right. And that's right. And the brothers were super upset about his dreams and made plans to get rid of him. Yes, they faked his death and sold him as a slave that was heading to another country called Egypt.
And there would never, ever be a boy band.
I know, which is the saddest part of it all. All right, I think we've covered all the highlights here. And now we enter into part 2 of the story of Joseph. Dun, dun, dun.
Yes. Let's go.
All right. Once in Egypt, Joseph was sold as a slave to a man named Potiphar, who was the captain of the palace guard for Pharaoh.
Pharaoh.
Yeah, Pharaoh.
I guess it's not that exact Pharaoh,
Well,
but
no.
we get the point. The king of Egypt.
That's the guy.
Well, it sounds like this Potiphar guy, the captain of the guard, is a pretty big deal if he's working for Pharaoh.
You bet he was. And Potiphar had a big house with many servants and a lot of fancy things that you can't really buy at Target. And this snazzy little house of his needed a little looking after.
So what exactly did Joseph do for Potiphar?
Well, Joseph was put in charge of a couple of things, which is a pretty sweet gig for a slave. And Joseph worked hard as if he was working for the Lord, and God was with Joseph. Joe was extremely successful in everything that he did, and Potiphar recognized that God was with him.
Dude, that's so cool. Did Potiphar give Joe a little trophy and say, good job, buddy?
No, but thanks, I'll take this.
All right.
No, but probably not that trophy there. No. He was put in charge of every single thing he owned because Potiphar knew that he was a special man because God was with him. And since he was faithful to God in all situations, Joseph had a lot of favor.
I'm sure Joseph did a great job because he didn't complain or probably give up when things didn't go his way, right? And he continued to trust God. And because of that, God blessed Joseph.
Blessed. That's right. He did an amazing job because God was with him, causing everything he did to succeed. And it says right here in Genesis 39, verse 2, the Lord was with Joseph, so he succeeded in everything he did as he served in the home of his Egyptian master.
You know, it could have been easy for Joe to get upset because he was far away from home, he was a slave, but it sounds like things actually started working out for Joseph in some pretty unexpected ways.
Yes, they did, for a while. But things changed for Joseph once Potiphar's wife started to notice Joseph.
This doesn't sound good.
No, it does not. It's not good for our man Joe, because as time went on, day by day, Potiphar's wife began to test Joseph.
Well, that doesn't sound that bad. I'm sure that Joseph was a straight A student and passed with flying colors.
Well, Joseph was for sure a straight A student when it came to trusting and putting his faith in God.
That's good.
But she was testing him in very different ways. She made his life more and more difficult to live for God until one day, she did the unthinkable.
Don't tell me that she fell in love with the schoolboy.
She sure did. Oh yeah, but Joe wasn't trying to have any of that business, no. So she told Potiphar a nasty lie about Joseph. Potiphar was so angry that he threw Joseph in jail.
But Trent, I thought that God was with Joseph in everything that he did and caused him great success. Looks like I'm gonna need to go back to in my time machine and rescue Joe from jail because he's definitely not blessed anymore.
Oh, hold on there, Mountain Tea. This story's not over yet. Wait, you have a time machine?
You know I do.
No way, no. Anyways, moving on. There's no way. All right, things looked pretty bad for Joseph, but God had a pretty big plan in the works despite what was happening around him.
Thanks for grounding me, Trent, because I know that God has a bigger plan than what I'm capable of doing.
So Joe's in prison now. And again, he didn't give up. He served in jail as if he was still working for the Lord.
Man, I have a hard time taking out the trash without complaining.
Don't we all? And just like Potiphar noticed that God was with Joseph, and he succeeded in everything he did, the head jail guard noticed and put Joseph in charge of all the prisoners. So God was with Joseph in jail too.
That's pretty cool, but he's still in jail.
Well, some time passed and the jail gets a couple more inmates, and they just happen to be the Pharaoh's personal baker and cupbearer.
Sweet. Wait, I know what a baker is, but what's a cupbearer?
They tasted Pharaoh's drinks to make sure that he didn't get poisoned and sick when he drank them.
Trent, do you want to be my cupbearer?
No, thank you, sir. Anyways, they get thrown into jail, and some pretty sad about it, but something very unexpected happened. They both had very strange dream the same night.
Okay, so like a dream about racing through downtown Egypt on their chariots, destroying every single thing in sight and having a good time while they're doing it?
No. You're thinking of a scene from the hit blockbuster cartoon, The Prince of Egypt.
It's a great movie.
Yeah. Their dreams were about their jobs as a baker and a cupbearer. And these dreams were super strange and they troubled them. They didn't understand them.
So I'm assuming that this is where Joe comes into action because of how Joseph wasn't able to interpret, his dreams like last week's story.
Well, that is correct. This guy's back on track here. Joseph had the cupbearer tell him his dreams, and it went a little something like this.
He told of the 3 branches on a vine that grew clusters of grapes. In the dream, the cupbearer then squeezed the grapes into Pharaoh's cup and gave the cup to Pharaoh to drink. Joseph told him the interpretation that God gave him. He said that the 3 branches were 3 days, and that in 3 days Pharaoh would give the cupbearer his job back.
Pretty sweet. he was getting out of prison. The cupbearer was ecstatic about the news, but Joseph said to make sure and remember me when he is back in service with the Pharaoh, so that he could maybe get out of prison too.
Well, what about the baker?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Here's the baker's dream. He shared with Joseph about 3 baskets of bread on his head, and how birds were eating the bread out of the baskets. Joseph told him the interpretation that God gave him as well. He said that the 3 baskets were also 3 days. But rather than getting out in 3 days, you're going to get powered down.
Well, Trent, getting powered down doesn't really sound like a good thing for our baker, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Okay, well, what ended up happening with our cupbearer and baker?
Well, everything that Joseph said would come true came true. The cupbearer was restored to his position of tasting cups by Pharaoh's side, and the baker, well, let's just say he wasn't baking for Pharaoh or anyone else ever again.
Yikes. Yeah. But I bet that Joseph did get out of jail because the cupbearer would remember him, right?
You would think that, but you're wrong. Sorry to burst your bubble. But unfortunately, the cupbearer forgot about Joseph, and Joe remained in jail.
Man, are you serious?
Yeah.
Dude, he was just about to get freed. Things were going, pretty well. But he was forgotten about all again.
Yeah. But the good news is that Joseph knew that God was still with him in jail, and that he could trust God no matter what his circumstances were.
Trey, I'm sorry I got frustrated, but it's been really hard for me the past month, just not being able to see my friends, being with my family, or, doing the things that I love to do. I guess I just feel really trapped like Joseph.
Yeah, man. I'm here with you, but don't forget that you can always put your trust and your hope in God. And that goes for all of us too. Things may not always look the best, but continue to trust God and to put your hope in Him.
Thanks, man. I really needed that encouragement.
Yeah, no problem. And that's right. Even when you do all the right things, sometimes it may not turn out the way you expected. Yeah. But we can always choose to put our trust in God because He always has a plan.
And, speaking of encouragement, there may be some friends or relatives that could use encouragement right now. Give them a call, send them a letter, or make a funny video and send it to them. But more importantly, and most important of all, find a way to tell them that God loves them and that He is with them always.
That's right. And if you think that someone would find the story encouraging, then share the story of Joseph with them so that they can know that God is with them and that they should only put their hope in Him.
All right, man. I was totally expecting JoJo to get out of this one, but maybe I should hop back in my time machine and go back and rescue him so we can be cool.
Tyler, remember to put your trust in God and that you don't really have a time machine.
All right, you're right about one thing. I am going to put my trust in God.
That's a good
But
start.
I do have a time machine. Anyways, Joseph is stuck in jail because of the lies that someone told about him, and he looked really bad. But I want to move into the next part of our story because I have a feeling that Joe's bros are going to start bowing down to him like in his dreams.
All right, then let's take a look at this.
No!
Oh, so sorry. Don't despair, man, because next week some really crazy things are going to happen to Joseph that you definitely won't want to miss.
All right, Trent. I'll trust you on this one.
Thank you.
But more importantly, I'm going to trust in God.
Good call. Good call. And that's how today's story ends.
And now to be continued for you.
Thank you for worshiping with us today. You can share this video with your friends, your family, or anybody that needs to hear the love of God. Please follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can also follow us on our YouTube channel. Make sure you turn on your notifications so that you stay up to date on all of our latest videos. Thanks, have a great day, and we can't wait to see you next week.